Coming up on TekThing, Google Pixel 2, what's up with the screen problem? Google Drive spam, moving Google Authenticator to a new phone, monitors for Chrome OS, DAC pics, and more, all coming up on TekThing. A big shout out to our patrons. Without their support at patreon.com/TekThing, we wouldn't be able to make the show for you each and every week. You can join the crew that makes TekThing possible. Head over to patreon.com/TekThing. Thank you.
I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm Patty Norton.
And this is TekThing, where we have something useful in every single show.
Especially when we're shooting a show the evening of Halloween.
That's right.
Oh my goodness. We're pre-recording this because you are about to head to Japan.
So excited. But first off, I have an announcement. I reminded you guys about this last week as well, but heads up, I just started the 30-day security challenge over on our channel over at youtube.com/TekThing. So you can join me in that for 30 days straight in November. This is where my blog is, where you can read about each one. We are going to build up our security and privacy online, one step at a time. Each and every single video focuses on one aspect of security with resource links, step-by-step guides. I'm also going to have background information on why it's important to me, and you can watch the first week of videos now and subscribe to our YouTube channel for the rest. Super exciting, yay!
Or you can go to snubsy.com.
Does the newest Google Pixel 2 XL beat out the original Pixel? Well, the new line of Google Pixel 2 start at $649 and then they go up from there. So honestly, I would really hope so.
So that's
I really hope so.
$649 for the Google Pixel, not XL?
Yeah, the Pixel 2.
Okay.
And then the XL is an additional $200.
$849.
And if you buy the one with an additional 128 gigs, then you're paying like $100 more. So you're gonna end up spending over $100 if you want like the top of the line Pixel 2 XL. But first,
$100?
before we get into
I'll pay $100 for a top of the line.
An additional $100. Oh. Over $1,000, I should say.
That's the one.
But first, I think we should talk about the elephant in the room.
Show them the blue tint. Show them the blue tint.
Oh my gosh, this is so bad. So let me go to the screen that's just white.
A lot of early reports on burn-in, a lot of complaints about the colors.
Yep, muted colors. So this is just a regular screen for the news section. If I tilt this just a little bit, you can see that blue tint. If I tilt it really far, you can definitely see the blue tint.
It's actually more irritating in person than it is on camera.
It's really irritating.
But if you're sitting and looking at, if like the phone's sitting flat and you look over at it, all the white backgrounds on like a Google page or YouTube video, they all look blue.
They really do. So the Google Pixel 2 XL screen was made by LG and it is a POLED screen, which is known to have a few little issues like the muted colorings and stuff like that. Apparently the Google Pixel XL, the smaller one, does not have those same issues because it was made by a different manufacturer.
Maybe they're big fans of Instagram.
I will say that the muted colors are kind of off-putting, but supposedly a software fix will allow for more vibrant colors in the weeks ahead, which is great. Good job, Google. It is very muted compared to the highly saturated original Pixel XL, and honestly, I prefer saturated coloring. It's pretty. So living with the muted colors is kind of annoying, but it is survivable. I'm not gonna die. I have not experienced the burn-in issues that a lot of people have yet, but Google also said they would be releasing an update in the coming weeks to help with this as well, and hopefully that comes out like as soon as possible for the people that are experiencing the burn-in. Lastly, when you tilt that screen ever so slightly, you notice that blue tint.
Oh, I find it shocking.
Yeah, it was irritating, especially when I'm watching those YouTube videos and I just have my phone sitting there and they look sickly green due to that blue tint. I just don't like it. So when I first got the phone, I immediately thought like, nope, I am returning this once the review is done. Screw this, bleh, like barf out of my mouth, like this is disgusting. But hearing that Google will be releasing an update and they have also increased the warranty for this phone from 1 year to 2 years though, now I'm kind of reconsidering my negative view. I really am.
But you're also, okay, well, you know, you will, if they do not release an update that fixes the muted colors and fixes the blue tint.
Oh, then I'm going to be the first one on the phone taking advantage of that 2-year warranty because I'm already out of my return policy timing. So I just might keep my purchase. The 6-inch is a 1440 by 2880 display, and it has 538 pixels per inch for the density. It is very lovely as far as the clarity and everything like that, and it is a nice big screen. So if you can get over the muted colors and the blue tinting when you tilt it, then it looks really great. Plus it has a really nice curved edge and a much thinner bezel than the previous version, which I really like the curved edge and the thinner bezel. I think it looks really pretty.
It feels really nice
the
too.
screen also gets insanely bright, like almost too bright for me because I have old lady eyes. So turning it down to like 50 to 70% is per my usual. But now for the rest of the specs, it's got dual front-facing speakers, which is a really, really nice relic from past phones that I've had. The Pixel 2 sounds louder and more bassy than the original, and you're not going to end up covering up the speaker grill with your finger like I would on the original Pixel XL. So I really like that they put those two on the front. They sound really good. The phone call quality is clear and very loud. It's very crisp, almost too loud for my ears, so I turn that down constantly too. I see a trend here of things being too loud and too bright for me.
Hey, kid, get off my lawn. That's what's coming next.
The insides include a Snapdragon 835 with 4 gigs of RAM.
Nice.
There's 64 or 128 gig storage versions. There's a 3520 milliamp per hour battery and your usual connection settings. With the battery, I was able to get it down to 40% by midnight, and that was from 8 a.m. to midnight using this phone like it normally would.
That's
which
pretty
means
amazing battery life.
that's really, really good.
Wow.
So I'm very happy with the battery life on it. No wireless charging, but it is finally water resistant at IP67. You can drop it in a toilet and it should be fine. It also uses USB-C to charge, and guess what? It doesn't have a headphone jack.
Woohoo!
There is no headphone jack on this phone. Yep, there is an adapter in the box. Yay! FYI for anybody that's wondering why I barf on this constantly about, you know, Bluetooth, it's not because of the sound, it's because Bluetooth is vulnerable to hacks. I am a security person, I like being secure. Even Bluetooth 5, which is what you get on this phone, which is included, while you can get encryption for Bluetooth 5, it is still hackable. So since I frequent HackerCons, I'll have to make do with the headphone adapter, but if I lose that, I'm screwed, and we always use payment processing like with Square when we go to HackerCon, so what am I gonna do if I lose that adapter? You know, I don't wanna carry around an extra thing.
Why not? Pack 2, pack 4.
Yeah, buy more things because we decided to take away your headphone jack. Urgh, it's irritating. Don't give people more security or vulnerability vectors than they need. Gah.
Next thing you'll be talking about WPA2. Where's the fingerprint
Don't
reader?
get me started. That's on the back, it's right here. It's still in the same place and it works like you would expect, so no surprises there, it's fast, yay. Android 8.0 comes with some new features. There's picture-in-picture mode, which is really useful whenever I watch YouTube videos, but check email at the same time, so I can do both of those. It's really cool. There are also notification dots on the app icons whenever something new is available, and if you do see a notification dot, you can click on it and you can just swipe away any of those new messages.
So
Like for
if
your
I have
email.
new like tweets or new text messages,
Yeah.
or it just...
It works for email, I know that, and it works for Instagram. So you
Cool.
can see those little notifications and you can just swipe away. It's cool, I like it. The Pixel 2 XL also has an always on screen, and if it is locked, it will show you what music is playing in the background around you. According to Google, this all works offline, so it doesn't send info to Google, which is great because that means it's more secure. You can also squeeze the sides of it, and I'll show you how that's done. It's kind of interesting.
So it's literally listening, and it'll be
Squeeze.
like, that's the Beatles, that's Chopin,
Yeah.
that's...
Yeah, and it totally works too. Like it'll pick
odd.
up the most random music too. It's great, and it works very well as well. Even soft music, it'll still pick it up and tell you what it's playing. But as you just saw, when I squeeze the side,
Like
just
the
a little
Shannon.
hard, it brings up Google Assistant. I've only used this now. That'll make 4 times over the week that I've had this. It's a gimmick. Like I'm never gonna use that. I would much prefer just talking to the thing instead of squeezing it.
So let me make an observation right now. The real reason you're willing to overlook the screen quality issues on an $11 phone, $1,100 phone, is your experience with the camera.
The camera! Yes, the camera. Let's talk about it. So the back camera is a 12.2 megapixel f1.8 aperture with optical image stabilization, and you can get awesome video at 2160p at 30 FPS at the highest.
Nice.
It is beautiful. The front camera is 8 megapixels. It's f2.4 aperture, and you can get 1080p video out of that one. So I have some examples, like this picture of my cat while she's under the desk. Low light. It brings out a ton of light
It
and
seems to
less
be
noise.
way better than the specs would indicate.
Absolutely does. And I think a lot of that has to do with like how Google is processing the pictures in software, because aperture 1.8, like that's what I've had on previous phones. So there shouldn't be a difference there, but the software really makes it stand out a lot.
You can see the cat fur in the darkness.
You can see the cat fur in this very, very dark setting where it looks like daylight. It's crazy. And then I took this into the city at night to the Metreon in SF MoMA. When I took a photo of the cityscape, you could see little details in the windows. Like instead of it being blown out like I would originally get with the Pixel XL, for example. If I take selfies with it, the portrait mode is not as good as an iPhone. That's still a complaint that I have with Android. When I take those portrait modes and I want that blurry background, it's still giving me some blur on my hair.
Maybe it doesn't like purple.
It's, you know, Google, you really got to fix the blurry hair. It's not cool with me. So I think it all comes down to, do you keep the phone with the display faults, especially if the camera is amazing, or do you decide to return it because of those display faults? And for me, it really comes down to those Google updates. Because if those updates don't really fix like the vibrancy of the screen or the burn-in problems that people are experiencing, then I'm going to warranty the crap out of it.
I mean, it seems like you spend a lot more time, I'll be very gentle, staring at the screen than you do. Even you spend more time staring at the screen than you do taking pictures. So over time, it will probably get more and more irritating or less and less irritating to look at the blue screen and the...
Over the past week, it's gotten less irritating for me. I've not noticed the blue tinting as much as I did when I first pulled it out of the box, and maybe it's just because I'm getting used to it. But the vibrancy of the colors, I still notice that a lot. But since Google is saying that they can fix the vibrancy, then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a chance with this, and I'm really hoping that Google can fix it.
A tentative thumbs up, assuming the updates fix the screen.
Yeah, it's a tentative thumbs up. I'll keep you guys updated on my Twitter in case, you know, the update comes out and I'm still like super ticked off about it. But so far, the camera overshadows those issues.
You'll be able to hear it all the way in Connecticut and
Jersey
Shore, should the
Don't get me started. Let me know what you guys think, and if it's worth it to keep the phone even with the display faults. I would love to hear what you guys say about that. Tweet at TekThing, at Snubs, or you can also send a message to ask@tekthing.com.
I'm also curious how much you plan on spending on your next phone. Are you going for a flagship phone? Do you have $1,000 for a phone? You want to spend $500? You want to spend $200? I'm curious because the $400 phones are looking amazing right now.
Yeah.
3 questions answered, 3 reviews, 3 picks, all in 3 minutes. It's a festival of finger flicking. No, it's rapid fire roundup. This week, we're going to start with CaffineFreeDave, who tweets.
At Patrick Norton, I have a 4 gig Chromebox. What monitor should I look at getting?
Oh my goodness. I love Chromeboxes because they're like impossible to kill.
They're
difficult
so cute.
to hack.
That's true.
First of all, double check the manufacturer recommendations regarding screen resolutions. But in the case of the Dell 3010 Chromeboxes that are running here in the warehouse, the Core i3 versions or higher processors, because you do like Core i5 versions too, can handle up to 4K monitors.
Wow.
So we're actually running 3440 by 1440 Dell U3415W ultrawides on several of Dell's Chromebox 3010s here in the warehouse. For most things I'd use a Chromebox for, I'd probably stick with a 1080p or a WQHD. That's 2560 by 1440 monitor.
Okay.
By the way, if you're looking for a Chromebox, they're really getting rare. Asus and Acer are pretty much the last manufacturers.
Wow. And
one of the only ones with well, you can get like a Core i3 now from Asus.
Oh, okay.
Most of them are just Intel Celerons, which are much more powerful than the Celerons of your past.
Okay.
From the Upgrading My Android Phone Department, Sean, aka XFactor99 tweets, dun, 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 at Snubs, is there a way to move all my Google Authenticator to a new Android phone? I don't want to reset them up again.
Yeah, no. It's not possible, unfortunately. So what you can do is set them up all over again in Google Authenticator, or you can do what I do and switch over to Authy. So Authy enables you to have multi-factor authentication, 2-factor authentication for multiple different devices. It saves all this information encrypted in the cloud. So luckily you can back those things up, and then whenever you get a new phone, like I just got my Pixel 2 XL, well, you can just re-download them onto your new phone. The other thing I wanted to mention with this as well is you can download this for Google Play and the App Store, but they also have a desktop app and a Chrome app. So that will allow you to get those verification codes in your desktop or your laptop or your Chrome device instead. Which is kind of cool. I prefer to just have one device that has all of my verification codes on it so that if something happens to that, I would have to log into a different device to be able to get those back. And that's what I would recommend just for security.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I just love the fact that they have iOS, Android, Macintosh,
Me too,
Windows.
Yeah. Good on you, Authy. But there's other options as well out there that do allow you to back up those verification codes so you don't have to reset them up again. But that's why I recommend Authy. Now we have another one, number 3.
Number 3
is from @FatKidXAlmighty. Justin Green on Twitter, he says, @Patrick Norton, what is your HD audio player of choice nowadays? Budget choice? I'm so new at this.
In terms of total hours logged in, absolutely, totally, and utterly, the lead is my phone.
Yep.
And a lot of people many phones have better DACs and headphone amps than people give them credit for. Next up, I gotta say the Astel and Kern AK100 I scored back around 2012. It's pretty badass with FLAC files, and it will power all but the most hungry planar magnetic headphones to levels that will do hearing damage.
Cool.
Astel and Kern's current version of that, the AK Junior, runs for $270 if you can find it. I also have one of the first gen FiO X1 players. The second gen is not getting what I would call particularly favorable reviews, but the first gen sold for $100 and did a really, really good job with FLAC files.
Cool.
If you want to nose around, there are lots of options out there. For example, the FiO X3 sells for the second generation sells for $136. Yeah, there's a couple options out there.
Cool.
But I would definitely take a look at the FiO stuff if you are looking to spend the least amount of money. And by the way, you can always use an external DAC with your cell phone.
Like your Dragonfly.
But we'll talk more about that in a minute.
If you have a question, you can email ask@tekthing.com or you can tweet @PatrickNorton, @Snubs, and @TekThing.
You got a question? Curious to see Shannon or I review something on TekThing? Got a tip or an idea you want to share with the crew? We love that. Fire them on out to ask@tekthing.com, please. Or you can tweet @TekThing, @Snubs, or @PatrickNorton. And hey, if you want to be part of the crew that makes TekThing possible, please contribute to the show at patreon.com/TekThing.
Joe bought a pair of AudioQuest Nighthawks after Patrick's review, and he writes, I thought it might be time to buy my first DAC+Amp combo unit. I was curious, in your opinion, what pairs well with the Hawks? I was also curious if you recommend any of the new pads that have come out since the release of the Carbon models. Thank you to the both of you for the wonderful show, and keep up the great work. From Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
I'm glad you like him. Oh, man. So depending on what you're listening with now, the DAC and amp combo, right? So, you know, we've talked about it before. This is an AudioQuest Dragonfly Black. Might make less of a difference than you would expect, right? Because when you talk about when people talk about DACs and headphone amps online, it's like the mellifluous tones emanating from the V-Master 4000 made the music sing like Zeus himself had handed me golden ears, right?
What?
Okay, so I'm just saying sometimes the reviews online are a little over the top.
Yeah.
And perception bias is a thing. So here's the thing. Getting headphones, really good headphones, or getting the right speakers and setting them up in your room is way beyond the biggest single contributor to audio awesomeness. And I would also say, well, we'll talk about your source files in a second. You know, the DAC amp in your phone is probably better than most folks give it credit for. And the ones in computers are heaps better than they used to be. That said, if you get noise and distortion from your amp and your DAC, if you have like high levels of background noise, or if you just want to start playing with an outboard amp, DAC combo, my two favorite entry-level options, if you don't want to spend all the money. Number one, AudioQuest Dragonfly Black, which sells for about $100 and sounds fantastic and will drive everything but the most angry, over-the-top planar magnetic headphones, and the Shit Full of Two, which looks a lot like this and apparently has a Happy Halloween tag floating there. Or apparently that's left over from an earlier website. This one's really cool, not just because it has a volume knob, which I'm a huge fan of, but if you take a look in the specs, they are using an AKM DAC, which some people think sounds more musical and airy than other DACs. And some people might think that idea is insane. If you want to spend a little bit more money, a really nice bargain, I think, if you go to JDS Labs, look up at the top here where it says B stock for maximum savings, minor cosmetic imperfections, and you will find their lineup including the Element, which is a fantastic headphone amp, which also, oddly enough, has a gigantic volume knob.
Nice.
I'm big into the gigantic volume knobs. Something worth thinking about. That said, before you buy either one of these, rip your CDs to FLAC. And if you want to learn everything about FLAC, go to ziff.org/FLAC or start paying for the premium tier of Spotify and set your audio quality to high quality audio, or head on over and get Tidal lossless.
Okay.
Because seriously, garbage in, garbage out. Make sure your fancy headphones get all the music fed to them. And don't buy into the hype about high-res audio files. I'm just saying.
John writes, I've been getting notifications on my phone lately that someone is sharing a file with me to Google Drive. If I click it on my phone, I can view it. Then when I go into my Drive, the said file is there. The problem is these are unsolicited, and the ones I've been getting are, let's just say they are Google Doc files offering me services. Oh, I get it. Digging through my Google Drive settings, I cannot find a way to set it so nobody can send me files. Also, on the most recent one, I can see that the file was sent to over 40 people, meaning I'm not the only victim. A search of the Google forum turned up other people who've experienced this and no good answers from Google. I have like 30 gigs of crap on that drive that I really don't want to relocate, but this makes me nervous. From John.
Yeah.
That's a really scary thing to deal with.
Yeah. In theory, right? I mean, on one hand, it's Google, so they're probably scanning the files to make sure they're not malicious executables or something like that. On the other hand, it's Google, and you're screwed. Because actually, Darren from Hack5 and I have a very similar problem with Google Hangouts. See, we have boy names on our email, and in Google Hangouts, every so often, there will be sort of dozens, if not hundreds, of attempts of single women.
What?
Or recently divorced women. Amorous women attempting to have hangouts with us, bots, or Nigerian 419 scams in another place.
Wow.
So, you know, in theory, right, if I go into invitation preferences, you'd think you could be like,
you should be able to set it to contacts only.
Yeah, but see, you can't set it up. You can't.
What?
You know, people who have your email can send you an invite. Well, I don't want anybody with my, they can contact me directly or they can send me an invite. The best you can do is basically have them send you an invite so that the attempt to contact you goes into Gmail, and then you can spam hole it. You know, I shouldn't have to do, but Google can't be bothered to fix their permissions on Hangouts on the phones. You can block one person, but not all the persons we're sharing in Google Drive. I figure the same lack of care is impacting Google Drive that's impacting Google Hangouts, which may sound bitter and angry, but it is. It's frustrating when they can't be bothered to continue to develop tools that they force people that have adopted and come to use. Me, I say move the data elsewhere. And hopefully I don't end up with a whole bunch of people sharing files with me on Google Drive, because I have enough problems with spam and every other platform I prosecute my life on.
I do have one pro tip if you're using Gmail. If somebody is continuously spamming your Gmail from the same email account or with the same subject header, you can archive those into a filter. And the filter you can automatically stick to your spam box.
Right.
So they will completely skip your inbox and just go straight into your spam filter, and then they'll automatically get deleted by Google after like 30 days. But that only works for Gmail. It doesn't work for Hangouts or Google Drive.
Nope. Got an idea on how to solve the Google Drive spam problem? Because it's not just this viewer. There's a lot of people out there. Let us know.
And that about wraps it up for this episode, but once in a while, put down your phone, step away from your screen, close your laptop, and do something analog like Robert, who writes, this past weekend, me and my son went on a discovery flight at a flight school at our local airport. We both absolutely loved it. From Robert, and he sent us pictures along with this, and it looks so much fun. It looks like your son had such a great time. So thank you so much for sending those in, Robert. Really appreciate it.
Very cool.
If anybody else has analog pictures, you can email those to ask@tekthing.com and let us know what you guys are doing out and about, y'all.
If you want to send us an analog video, post it to YouTube and send us a link to that.
Definitely.
My one of my closest friends just took his first solo flight, and now he's doing his first like solo cross-country flight.
That's so cool.
It's really
One day
exciting.
I need to learn how to be a pilot for the zombie apocalypse, obviously.
before the fuel runs out after the zombie
I'm a
apocalypse.
prepper.
You're gonna have to plane, a runway.
Yep.
Defend the plane.
It's okay, I'll be ready. All right, we're done.
I'm Battery Norton.
I'm Shannon Morse.
We'll see you next week on TekThing.
I am a prepper. I want to learn all the things. I learned how to drive a boat, a gas boat.
That's a start.
I know all the gas things.
I know all the gas things.
I know all the gas.
She does. You should smell
Well,
this
that's
studio sometime.
You should, seriously. Ooh, it gets bad in here.
Somebody had refried beans for lunch.
I don't like beans. It's like garlic and stuff.
that what that
Thai
was?
food, yeah.
I remember the morning of the Thai food, dude.
That was a burp, too. That was a burp. It was good
Not me on
times.
my people. It was glorious.
Oh, what do you think? Should we do an episode about prepping?
31 ways to keep your flock in line with a hatchet.
Yeah.
The 17 best breeds for preserving your home's integrity.
Would that be
Cinder
fun?
block walls. Why you should build one today.